So this story takes place when I'm 13 years old. Now, my mother and father split up when I was just 1 year old, and yet each of them independently ended up gaining a guru, the same guru. And this is the story of how it happened. So, I used to go to stay with my father in Sydney once, maybe twice a year during school holidays. And so Sydney became a second home. And I loved hanging out with him. I loved hanging out with my half-brother. And there was one thing that I didn't love so much about being with Dad. And that was that in his Datsun 120Y, there was this photo of his guru. And when he put tapes into the tape machine in his car or at home, it was chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, time and time and time again. And I'd be like, Dad, come on, can't you play something at least that has lyrics that change? And he just laughed. And I said, why do you have this photo of this guy here? Why can't you have a photo of your family? Come on. As if to say, is he more important to you than us? Now, my father was a smart man, so he didn't answer. He just smiled. But I really didn't like the fact that my father, who in my eyes, just like my mother, was weird enough anyway. My father was a theatre director, very avant-garde theatre, and my mother did feminist art projects. So they were already quite weird enough. So when he got a guru, it was just taking him to the completely weird end of the continuum, at a time where I really just wanted him to be normal, so that I could fit in as a child who was really struggling to find my place amongst my community at school. I never forget when a group of school kids came and said, hey, Daniel, we saw your dad and he was in Shell Park in Greenwich and he was singing. And I thought, oh my goodness, my father has been singing the Guru Gita in public. And I said, no, you must be mistaken. That can't have been my father. He would have sung in a different park. That's not even the closest one to his home. It must have been someone else. I frequently felt embarrassed by him. So, when my mother had the chance to gain a guru, this was the least good idea that should happen to her. And how it happened was very interesting. So, my stepmother came to New Zealand to visit, because she also had the same guru as my father, to visit this guru. And she brought with her son, my half-brother. And I was keen to hook up with him, and so my stepmother got in touch with my mother, and she said, hey Juliet, I know that Daniel and Brandon want to get together. You know, I've got quite a busy schedule I'm part of the organising crew for my guru, so the only opportunity would be if you come to the school and they can meet each other there. We can, you can come and if you want and join in what's happening, and they can meet each other at school and they can play and hang out. And my mother really wasn't keen on this idea at all. And so rather than say yes, she took the idea to me. And how she said it was this. She said, look, Daniel, I've spoken to Bridget, and, there is a chance you can meet Brandon while they're both in the country, but it's up to you. I'll leave it up to you. She wants you to meet, and there's this guru thing that she wants to do, and I know how you feel about that, and to be honest, I feel the same way, so I'm not that keen. But, if you want to meet him, then I'll go along, but I'll leave it up to you, because I know how you feel about gurus. And in that moment, my mind went into the future. And in a few seconds, I saw the entire future. See, we came from a very a family that was socialist, atheist, and highly intellectual. So the idea of guru was completely the opposite end of the spectrum to what sensible, respectable, intelligent people would do. And my mother, she was a doctor. She had a doctorate in English. But in my 13-year-old mind, I saw a weakness in my mother. And this is how things happen in my head, so I'll recount them as they occurred. In my mind, the thought process went like this. I went, my mother's an intelligent woman, however, she has a weakness. She'll probably get taken in by this guru thing. And I know Bridget. I know how she connives. There would have been other opportunities to get us together. She's just conniving because she wants to get my mum into this guru thing. And she'll get into it. And then pictures of this guru will start appearing on her car dashboard, and she'll start playing Om Namah Shivaya, and she'll be into this thing, and she'll be meditating every moment. And then I have two parents who are at the totally weird end of the spectrum, not one. I don't want that to happen. So even though I want to see my brother, I'm going to say no. That's what occurred in my mind, and it happened in a flash. But then something unexpected happened. The second thought occurred. And the second thought was, hey, but Daniel, if this is your mother's path, if this is what she's supposed to experience, whether you like it or not, who are you to stand in the way? And that voice was stronger. So some time must have passed while I was silent, and my mother said, well, Daniel, so what do you think? And I said, yeah, it's okay. Let's go. And that was it. And sure enough, she did get into the guru, and photos did start appearing on the dashboard, and she did start meditating every morning, and she did start playing Om Namah Shivaya. But you know what? She was happier. And from that point onwards, even though I didn't like the result, I felt that I'd done the right thing. For perhaps the first time in my life, I put aside my childish self-interest, and I'd ask myself what was right for another person's path. And I felt good. And did I have any regrets about what happened? Never for an instant. So that was how my mother gained her guru. And when I reflect back in years to come, I thought that really was perhaps the first action in my life which I'd ever done which was in service to another human being. Service is what? Service is when you do something with no expectation of reward or of getting anything back. In fact, you may get something back which you don't like, but you do it simply for the act of doing it. Not even for the feeling of I will feel good after I do the service, because even then it becomes a transaction. You're doing it for some currency, for some reward, some recognition, for some internal feeling you think you will achieve. That opened something up inside me. Now, yes, when I reflect back, you could say perhaps I gained some good merits through that action, through helping someone else on the spiritual path. Yes, there's evidence to suggest that may have occurred. In fact, that I did have a very good year and lots of amazing things happened that year. But whether that's the case or not, it was enough simply that I felt I'd done the right thing. And ever since then, I've tried always, when I found myself in that position, and there's been a tension between what I believe I want and what seems to be the best thing to elevate another person, or at least for their path, then always to act in terms of what will elevate another person. And that's turned out pretty well. I hope this story resonates with you in some way, and you can find some application of it to your own life. And if you like the story and you know other people who might like to hear it as well, please share it with them.